Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Making my first run to the meeting house today. Unload a truckload, come back, get some more stuff in the family, and off to a busy day of fun and fellowship. Makes me think about something else that we need to talk about right in line with us having a meeting here. And many of you are doing the same thing, whether it's a big public meeting or it's just small little groups meeting together. My wife and I talked about it a little bit last night on our live stream. Hope that many of you made that. It's becoming a regular event, and we really enjoy it. On a Saturday evening, we just, we talk a little bit of the stuff that's going on and answer questions and just whatever. Anyways, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, that's Captain Obvious, right? We know that. There's things burning, things blowing up, things crashing, threats being made, weird things flying around the sky. We're shooting stuff out of the sky, out of our own airspace for the first time ever. We've got Russia threatening to do their things, North Korea. We've got CBDC coming up soon. It's becoming a bigger and bigger deal. Read yesterday about what was it now? My mind just went blank. It was talking about brain implants. How they're getting further along with putting these AI brain implants together. Oh, and then Politico yesterday had an article, I'm sure they did it on purpose, but it's a kind of a prepper little acronym. And the headline was "The End of the World as We Know It." And it was talking about this increasing global war over in Europe. And with all this stuff going on and all the anticipation and anxiety and stress, all that kind of stuff, we really need to, while it's okay to notice that stuff and talk about that stuff, and it kind of helps us get a timeline of how far along we're going, right? We see how far the world is starting to fall apart. Every time you see more and more acceptance of this weird trans ideology and all that kind of stuff. Well, the reality is where we need to be putting our primary focus is internally. Focusing it on ourselves, our family, and our inner community. That's where we really need to be putting a lot of focus and try as best as we can to not get caught up too much. I mean, we certainly want to know about it, right? We want to know that these things are going on, and it, like I just said, it gives us a time that we can, kind of judge, okay, how close are we to the bombs going off kind of thing. This and this is happening. Oh, now this has happened. Boy, we've got to be pretty close. That means we need to kind of, hit the nitrous button. We got to move faster. We got to get ready a little bit faster. But the main focus that we need to be putting our energy into is readying ourselves, our families, our communities, in the ways that we talk about on here. The physical, mental, and spiritual. Where we're talking with our families, we're going over plans, whatever those plans are, whether it's bugging in, bugging out, dealing with hostilities in your area. People could become crazy. There could be, groups of people like Antifa type stuff. We could have a grid failure. EMP could happen. I mean, CMEs are happening right now. Not big enough to knock out the grid, but they've been increasing in intensity. So going over that kind of stuff, and then also those same things with your group. How does your group respond as a whole? Because you have your family and what they're doing, but what is your group doing? Do you have a way to stay in communication? Do you have a backup plan, a contingency plan of communication when comms go down? If there is an EMP and if it does fry comms, if everyone is staying in communication via cell phone, and then those go down, how are you going to communicate? Have you thought about that? Have you done dry drills, runs? Have you come up with, alternatives, more than one, really? The kind of the little prepper motto: 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So come up with some contingencies of how you're supposed to react and how you're supposed to get in communication with each other. Do certain things that could happen cause your group to come together? If you're not living on the same property, which most people aren't. I mean, that's fine if you are. Most people aren't. So if everyone has their own property in a little region, are there certain things that you say, okay, that's enough for us to rendezvous? It's to rendezvous at a certain place to kind of regroup and figure out how we're going to move forward due to this particular event. I don't know, maybe not. But if that's the case, you should probably be practicing that, okay? How do you keep in contact? Covered that. Rendezvous, covered that. What are the things that you're planning on doing to help each other? Maybe if things got really, really bad, to the point that we're truly having to defend ourselves against whatever happens. Maybe some of the people in your group have more defensible places than others. Others are more exposed, and you come to realize that, yeah, if it got that bad, we probably need to fall back to, one of our other buddies' house or someone else in the group, because it's just, we're too exposed in this place. Something to think about. The point is, the main point to what I'm saying is as this world continues to get worse, as it falls apart and starts looking really bad, because it is, instead of hyper focusing on these things and becoming overwhelmed by the severity of all these different actions taking place, it should motivate us to ready ourselves internally. The internal preparedness, and I'm not just talking about like me inside, which that's part of it. I'm talking about the family and the core groups, because it's very possible that things are getting to that point. I spoke with, and she's going to try to speak today at our meeting. So any of you that are watching this that are coming to the meeting, you'll enjoy this. But our very close real estate agent friend, she's helped many people find properties in this area. And a very close friend, my wife and I love her and her husband just to pieces. Anyways, I was talking to her the other day, and she said, Travis, she said, you need to tell your people that if they're wanting to move to a homestead property, if they're wanting to, whether it's get out of suburbs or the city, or they just wanting to move someplace that's a little bit better survivable, she said you need to tell them they need to hurry it up, because the things that she's seeing and the things that she's being told by, loan officers and brokers and people in the real estate business, they're telling her that it's about to start getting pretty bad. And unless you're just fortunate enough to be in a sweet spot when it comes to purchasing home and land and stuff right now, it's going to really hurt a lot of people. She's going to talk a little bit about that today, I believe. But that's part of what we mean. If your plan is to kind of get things going 6 months, a year from now, I'm not saying you can't do it, just saying it's going to be a lot more difficult. It's kind of like stocking up food. If you had started prepping 3 years ago, okay, if you had started stocking up food 3 years ago, and you put away a year's worth of food supply, however much money that you spent buying that 1 year food supply 3 years ago, the money would have gone further. You wouldn't have spent as much money as if you started right now. So if you start stocking up right now and you buy a 1 year food supply, you can do it. It's going to cost you a lot more money because everything's gone up. I saw a number yesterday or day before, I can't remember, and we keep hearing about like inflation month to month and year over year. And these numbers were inflation over the last 5 years. And on average, like this is overall average, and some things are much, much more, but just overall average, that the American people has lost about 21% of its buying power in the last 5 years. 21% of the buying power in the last 5 years. That's dramatic. And so it's going to be that way with real estate. It's already getting that way with interest rates going up. Some of these places, the interest rates have gone up 1% or 2%, which is significant over a 30-year period. And so while you could still buy a home or property 6 months to a year from now, your money's not going to buy as much. And so if you can start making those moves fast, I know that's hard because with the house, a lot of times you have to sell what you have. The process of buying, I get it. It's hard to find. The good ones are becoming less and less available because people are starting to lock down. I mean, they just are. They've been making these moves for 3 years now. And so it's harder. But that's an example of focusing on internal stuff right now. And not putting nearly as much energy into what's going on around the world. Definitely should focus on it, pay it some attention because it's significant. And it'll give you a better idea. It'll give you a better idea of how bad things are getting. I'm sure, hopefully, no one's getting gonna have a seizure there with that sun flashing through the trees. Sorry, let me see if I can get beyond it. There we go. But seriously, this is what we need to be doing. Paying attention to your preps, your skills, your mental readiness. Talked about that a lot last night in the live stream, that while it's great, it's really important to have all these things and preps and tools and skills and stuff. What you really need to make sure you have is your mental preparedness, having that do or die mentality, that you're not going to quit, that you're going to figure it out one way or the other. Even if you have nothing, you will figure out a way to survive. If you can do that, then it's worth more than all the food and all the gear and all the tools and guns and everything. I mean, you want to have as much of that stuff as you can put aside. But being mentally prepared and having that mindset that you will survive no matter what, that's critical. And we need to start developing that, making sure that we're ready, making sure that these events, this global war now, that the United States is calling it, that it doesn't take us over, overwhelm us, slow us down, hold us back. Because there's really only very little that we can do to change things, to none, maybe nothing. There may be nothing that you and I can do to change global events. But we can affect ourselves at the home. We can get ourselves ready at the home. And so that's where we need to be putting our energies in right now. As far as many of you concerned, maybe all these events that we read about and hear about in the news is just entertainment. It's just entertainment at this point, because none of it's too surprising. We've been expecting this for months and years. Folks, right now is the time to get your house in order. It's time to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.